Welcome to Keeping Up with the Nigerian Parliament. Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi. The House of Representatives has directed the National Boundary Commission to put on hold the planned demarcation of the Sina area of Michika local government area in the boundary dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon. Chairman of the House Ad Hoc Committee, which is investigating the boundary dispute, Honorable Benny Law, gave this ruling after a meeting with concerned parties, as the committee resolved that status quo be maintained until it concludes its investigation. Meanwhile, the Solicitor General of the Federation, who was present at the hearing, said it was too late to appeal the judgment of the International Court of Justice. Here's a report of the hearing.
The House of Representatives commences investigation into the dispute arising from the implementation of the 2010 judgment of the International Court of Justice on boundary dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon from north to south. An ad hoc committee of the House meets with concerned parties on the disputed territories in Adamawa and Cross River State. Sina's settlement in Michika local government area of Adamawa State is one of the areas in dispute. This settlement is occupied by Nigerians who happen to be on the other side of the Cameroonian border, yet to be demarcated following the ICJ judgment of 2010.
Efforts were made to sensitize the people and the government of Adamawa State appropriately, preparatory to the last award of the contract for this that included that same particular area. In 2023, recently, the Lot 7 work of the Cameroon Nigerian Commission encompassed that sector. So when the contractor went on ground, he carried out exercises in the areas that were not in contention. But the senior settlements group also obstructed the work, and the work had to be stalled. So we could not work on that senior group of settlements in 2010 and recently in 2023.
Whilst we understand or we share in the pain of the affected communities, they need to understand that this is not a case that Nigeria is ceding territory. This is a territory that has been accepted and is in fact historically part of the Republic of Cameroon. And this particular part of the boundary was never in dispute. We understand that people live across borders. We expect that when they live on the territory of other people, they simply respect the customs, tradition, and laws of the other party. But I think it would not be fair for us to claim that territory simply because we have been in occupation for some time.
We have deployments in Yola, we have in Mubi, we have in Michika. Now, apart from these deployments, we also have the multinational joint task force. That's comprising militaries of Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Republic of Benin. And presently, the force commander is a Nigerian. The headquarters is in N'Djamena, Chad. So apart from the security at local level, that's within Nigeria, we also have cross-border security arrangement under the multinational joint task force. Now, I know the immigration, customs, and other paramilitary agencies, they will also shed light on their roles and responsibilities when it comes to border security.
Honorable Adamu Kamale is a former member of the House of Representatives from Michika local government. He accuses the Boundary Commission of disloyalty to Nigeria.
The Demarcation Committee, as you have said, started all the way from Lake Chad. Lake Chad is in the north, while Bakassi is in the south. The demarcation didn't start from Bakassi to Lake Chad. It started from Lake Chad. What it means is that you must finish with all the boundaries here down to Bakassi. Now, where the point of contention is between Romsike, which the National Boundary Commission DG said that Cameroon didn't allow them, or Cameroon didn't permit them, or is still contentious with Cameroon, and Sinawati. These are same communities. Let me enlighten the Agos gathering. Rumsike and Sinawate, they are the same. They are less than 2 kilometers apart. So by virtue of implementing the watershed, Rumsike automatically falls into Nigeria. And probably part of Sinawate we are talking about might fall also into Cameroon. Some of these communities are wrongly placed. And the agreement is, if a country, if a settlement is on your side, even if it belongs to that side, there should be agreement for taking over and handing over. And we have done that over some settlements that were linked to Michigan local government area of Nigeria. And ditto some other areas, like we said, we lost 33 villages in the Lake Chad region, because these are villages of Nigerians. I don't know, Attorney General, whether you have ever asked this question, Rumsike, why is it not given to Nigeria? Why is it not beaconed? And why do our people are protesting? Whether we are ceded to Cameroon or left in Nigeria, we are one tribe. I told you, we have one local government there. So we are not doing emotional beating here. We are neither complaining that we are having some challenges if we are relocated. But the issue is the territory that is given to Nigeria, and the Mixed Commission refused to demarcate, to give to Nigeria. You have not complained. Then now you jump and begin to take Sina to give to Cameroon. This is why the problem arises.
The concerns of Nigeria's sovereignty related to the boundary dispute has also been extensive, as there have been reports of attacks on Nigerian boundary communities by militants of Ambazonia, a separatist group in southwest Cameroon. These attacks reportedly occurred in Manga Village, Takum local government area of Taraba State, and Boki local government area of Cross River State. Although this has been refuted by the army, and the Senator Ali Ndume, who was chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, had said the actual situation in Manga Village was more of a communal or tribal conflict that affects communities along our borders. But lawmakers are concerned and want an appeal of the ICJ judgment.
Is this the first judgment of ICJ that has not been implemented? I want to know. There are other countries that have gone to this ICJ and judgment have been given, and they say no, it does not reflect the desires of our people. This judgment can rest. So why is Nigeria in a hurry? Within the limit of these 10 years, were there no protests? If any community had protested before the 10 years elapsed, why did the Nigerian government not appeal the judgment at that time?
Having listened to all parties, the committee chairman gives her ruling.
In my view, I think it's very important that we continue this engagement with the relevant community and the Boundary Commission. We go to Adamawa State, visit the site, and come up with a solution. This committee will intervene, but not at this stage. Let us go on a fact-finding mission, and then we will intervene. Because whatever you're trying to do, the communities have a right, and their rights must be considered. So it's very important that the national boundary community and the communities work together. Otherwise, this demarcation exercise should be put on hold until the disputes are resolved and what is causing this dispute are resolved. So I rule that you put the demarcation exercise on hold pending the resolution of all the disputed territories.
The National Boundary Commission, however, believes that the matter should be taken up with the president, as the initial treaty was done between presidents of both countries in 2006. There's also a proposition that the Nigerian settlers on the other side of the boundary belonging to Cameroon should either be relocated to Nigeria or allowed to settle as Nigerians in Cameroonian territory.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is debunking speculations that it plans to relocate its headquarters from Abuja to Lagos. The Group Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Melekiari, made this clear when he appeared before an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives for an investigative hearing on the allegation of corrupt acquisition of OVH Energy by the NNPCL. According to Mr. Kiari, the acquisition of OVH Energy was properly done and has given the NNPC over 30% control of the downstream sector, with a profit of 18.4 billion naira in the first quarter of 2023 alone. Take a listen. The allegation of corrupt acquisition of OVH Energy by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) is being investigated by a House of Representatives ad hoc committee, as it meets with the chief executive of the NNPCL.
The former OVH Energy and its affiliates, Apapa SPM Limited, was reported to own the underlisted assets prior to its acquisition by NNPC PLC. 380 company-owned stations, a jetty ASPM with 240,000 metric tons, 8 LPG plants, 3 lubricant blending plants, 3 aviation and fuel depots, and 12 warehouses. Whereas upon accusation, the record of assets credited to OVH Energy indicate only 72 company stations and other assets are said to be either on lease or owned by third parties. There are also other allegations including, but not limited to, vindictive placement of the initial staff of NNPC Retail.
You may have taken the best decisions in your own judgment. It is left for you to let this ad hoc committee know what the issues are. They have raised a lot of issues and questions, and I have no doubts in my mind that given your pedigree and what you've done in the past, you are in a very good position to respond to those issues and questions with appropriate answers.
The Chief Executive Officer of the NNPCL responds to a petition alleging corrupt acquisition of OVH Energy.
We have taken this through all processes and we will share this with you, the processes that we took up to the point of payment for this asset. So there is nothing hidden, Chairman. There is nothing, and it's very grievous and painful for some of us. To say the least, I have seen this in the media, that it was a corrupt acquisition. And the realities are far from this. It's painful. 5 years backwards, the NNPC Retail Limited profits, the highest we did was in 2021, I think 2021, of 6.593 billion naira of profit. In 1 year, in 2021. But in first quarter of 2023, after the acquisition, this relationship made a profit of 18.4 billion naira. 18.4 billion naira profit in 1 quarter. It's nothing because we have expanded, we have more footprints, we have better brand, also we have greater capacity in terms of our market share. We are struggling to reach 15 to 14% of market share in 23 years. We are hitting over 30% of market share in less than a year, about a year. This is the dramatic change that has happened to this company as a result of this acquisition. In NNPC, we are proud of this acquisition.
He also debunked speculations that the NNPCL plans to relocate its headquarters to Lagos.
We have no plan of moving the headquarters of the company. This is a private company. The registered head office of this company is in Abuja. So you cannot move it except you go to Corporate Affairs Commission for you to relocate your headquarters, because every company has a registered head office. But our operations, 70% of our operations are in Lagos. So if you keep everyone involved in the operation, if you move them from Lagos into Abuja, first it increases costs substantially, as a matter of fact, almost geometrically. And not only that, it takes you away from your operations.
Following allegations that the assets of OVH Energy were not properly listed by the NNPCL upon acquisition, the committee resolves to pay an oversight visit to the NNPCL in order to conclude its investigation. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News. Welcome back to the Gavel. The House of Representatives Committee, which is investigating the non-remittance of the National Housing Fund within the week, began its tour of states, beginning with Enugu State. The details are contained in our next report. Take a listen.
The House of Reps Ad hoc Committee, which is investigating the non-remittance of the National Housing Fund and its utilization, paid a working visit to the Enugu State Governor and commended him for ensuring that Enugu workers are able to access the National Housing Fund, while urging him to do more.
The 1992 Act, which will be amended by the grace of God by the 10th House of Representatives, stipulates that every worker, be it civil, public worker, and even in the private sector, is to contribute 2.5% into the National Housing Fund. And this contribution cut across states and even the federal workers. And with report before the committee, Your Excellency, we are so happy to see that Enugu State has been remitting to the National Housing Fund. So we commend you. And I believe it's because of that remittance. And in as much as the state has been remitting, we still saw that the local government needs to do more in terms of remittance. But because of that remittance, you are one of the states that has one of the highest allocation within the country. And with this effort that you have made, we want to really commend you in ensuring that the Enugu State workers have been to be able to access the national housing from the National Housing Fund. Today in Enugu State, we will be going to Ozala to inspect the housing units that are there in Ozala, and at the same time to Trans-Ekulu. And if time permits us, we'll be going to Nsukka as well. But with the housing deficit that we have in this country, we want to encourage state government to do more, because with over 40% of housing deficit in the country, if we don't step up to the need of housing by our workers and Nigerians, God forbid that tomorrow the Nigerian workers will now be in IDPs, and when they retire, they are now struggling to pay house rents. And with the kind of person that you are, and even with the testimonies that we have heard from our right honorable colleagues, you are someone, an entrepreneur, that you want to see people around you succeed. And we want to believe that at the end of your tenure, by the grace of God, that every worker in Enugu State will have a house. It's a charge that we want to live in Enugu, that with this landmark that you have put us as a standard for us to be here as the first state, we believe that the remittance from the local government will come in, because we want to, at the end of the day, it's not just about the remittance, but the utilization.
In his response, Governor Peter Mba informs the lawmakers of the mass housing plans of his government for the people of Enugu State.
It's not by accident that you are able to acknowledge that we are consistent with our remittances to the National Housing Fund. We're also very ambitious in terms of the view we have taken in ensuring that our workers, particularly the critical mass of our people, have access to homes, to houses. And what that means is that we're going to get even more aggressive. Not just that we're going to continue to remit the 2.5% to the National Housing Funds, but we also want to be able to engage the Federal Mortgage Bank to see how we can build mass housing for our people. We believe that our workers, particularly upon retirement, should have access to houses. They should be able to retire and proudly move into their houses. And that we would enable by continuous remittance and also constructive engagement with the Federal Mortgage Bank. We now have allocated a large expanse of land where we would soon start the construction of mass housing. Our plan is to, between now and the next 1 year, to do at least 20,000 mass housing so that our workers will have access to houses upon retirement.
And finally, on Constituency Focus this week, we had a chat with Honorable Ahmed Jaha, who represents Dambuwa Gwoza Chibok Federal Constituency from Borno State in the House of Representatives to find out how he intends to engage with members of his constituency in the next 4 years. We asked him how he intends to meet the needs of his people and if he indeed knows the needs of his people.
My constituency's needs, as far as today is concerned, is the issue of return of peace and absolute security, if I can put it this way, in our various communities. I did so many motions. I contributed in so many discussions with the service chiefs and other related agents of cohesion all over the country to make sure that peace is returned to my constituency, because my constituency is the worst hit constituency as far as the insurgency is concerned in the Northeast. And in my own little way, to cushion the effect of the insurgency and to encourage people to go back to their various villages, particularly where there are relative peace, we embarked on schools development. Particularly, I built about 6 blocks of classrooms, if I can put it this way. I built 1 block of 3 classrooms in Dambua. I built another 1 block of 3 classrooms in Bokura, Chibok. I built another 1 block of classrooms in Garu, Chibok. I built a block of 3 classrooms, office and store in Goza. And I equally built a block of 3 classrooms in another ward in Chibok called Kumurumbula. Then in the areas of health services or healthcare delivery, I was able to build 3 maternity homes, well equipped with an ambulance attached to each of the 3 maternity centers, 1 in Chibok, 1 in Dambua, 1 in Goza. When the removal of subsidy was announced by the president in Eagle Square, barely less than a month, I went to my constituency and distributed money for people to go and buy food because the hardship is too much. In fact, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that people are not happy or people are hungry. You can vividly see on their faces. So I had to use that opportunity to go and see them, distribute wrappers to the women and some cash, and distribute cash to some household heads of householders across my constituency. In fact, I spent about 3 days in my constituency doing that. I started with Goza and I moved to Chibok. Then the following day, I went to Dambua where I concluded. So in addition to what the state government is doing and the federal government is doing, then as a member representing this constituency, I feel I have a moral obligation to be there for my people. It's going to be a continuous something. My target between 2023 to 2027 is for my community to have absolute peace. It's for my people to go back to their various communities. They should pick the pieces of their lives and forge ahead. That is my target. And for me to achieve this, I need a lot of work to do, particularly in the area of security provision. I must make sure that all my discussions, my motions, and everything I can do must be security related so that people can have peace, because if there is no peace, there is no way you can have development.
Well, that's all the time we have on The Gavel this week. Thanks for your time. Remember to send feedback to thegavel@channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.